Give this a second to go live. Okay, I think we're there. Laura Wick here, creator and founder of Body Mind Coaching, and I'm here today to talk to the massage therapists and the wellness practitioners who are in this amazing community. So if that's you, I'm so excited you're here. I'm going to adjust myself on my screen. There we go. So I know for many of you, business, you're starting to step back in the States here. A lot of people are starting to open up. It's starting to feel like things are going back to normal. For my UK friends and Canadian friends, hold tight. I know it's coming. And also, please stay and listen because as you step back into working again, you actually have an advantage. So we're going to talk a little bit about that during our live today. But I want to come on here and talk about the invisible ceiling that impacts so many massage therapists, holistic practitioners, Reiki practitioners, energy healers, all that stuff. There's something that we need to have an honest conversation because as we step back into, as we start thinking about going back to normal, it's time we start thinking about what normal is. And do you want to go back to business, right? That normal. Do you want to go back to normal? Because here's the thing. I have been working with holistic practitioners for years. I have worked with hundreds of you. I have talked to probably close to 1,000 of you. And there's one trend that we hear over and over again. And that so many practitioners, there's this invisible force that so many practitioners feel, where they feel their time is limited, their energy is limited, right? It's like you're hitting this invisible ceiling in your practice. And here you are, somebody who is dedicated to helping your clients. You are here to step up and serve. You are here to make a difference. You know that your work matters. You're probably, sharing resources and all sorts of amazing things with your clients to support them. And I'm curious, how many of you have ever felt like you've hit that invisible ceiling, right? And I want to talk about 3 signs that you're hitting that invisible ceiling. The last one might be surprising, but I want to talk about 3 signs to help you see if you're hitting that invisible ceiling. And I want to talk about what to start thinking about instead. Okay, cool. So if you are with me live, say hello. Hi, what's going on, Tanya? I see you here. Say hello in the comments. Okay, so the first sign, this one's pretty obvious, but we need to address it. The first sign is burnout. Obviously, you're exhausted, right? Your schedule is maxed. You have, hi, gorgeous. Your schedule is maxed. You're booked solid, right? And typically, this is something that I have a beef with in our industry because we are taught that the goal we should all aspire to be successful practitioners is having a booked solid practice, right? And I'm just curious, because this was me, right? Because I'm a pretty I go all in, right? How does that feel, right? How does that feel? Right? When you are booked solid, yes, I know it's like, oh my goodness, I loved looking at my calendar as booked solid. Great. There was a part of me that was like, okay, I know my bills are paid this month. But then there was a part of me inside that also went, oh, right? I remember when my first job out of massage school, I was working at a spa. I remember the days when I showed up and I had 8 clients booked in a day with 15 minutes between, which for a spa, they're like, yeah, awesome, but exhausting. Exactly, right? So I remember I'd see my schedule with 8 clients booked back to back to back. And at the spa that I worked with, they said the 15 minutes between clients counted as a break, but y'all know that when the client, by the time the client gets on the table or off the table, You change your sheets, right? You walk them to the door, you rebook them. Like by the time that happens, you maybe have like 2 minutes to pee and grab a glass of water, right? Like we are taught, I really, this is the normal that I want y'all to question. Is that what we want to aspire to? Is having a book solid practice really the thing that is allowing you to serve at your highest capacity? Because the book solid structure that I was taught was trade your time for money, right? And I did this at the spa. I was book solid and I burned out. And then I was like, I'm gonna go start my own practice. And guess what I did? I booked myself solid and I burned out. How am I helping anybody if I am literally sitting there like looking at my schedule being like, fuck y'all, you don't even know how bad my shoulders hurt, right? So I want to start questioning, do we want to aspire to a book solid practice? Because a book solid practice is always going to limit you. I know that sounds counterintuitive because when you are book solid, right, you are the limiting factor in your practice, and time is the limiting resource, right? Not money. But when you trade time for money, time is always capped, okay? All of us have the same amount of working hours. But if you trade time for money, your money will also be capped. Is this resonating? Let me know if this is resonating. And this is a hard truth for us to face. And even if, I was raising my rates, I was doing the thing, but it was always like it just felt like I was like trying to get up there and I was exhausted, okay? One of the things that we teach in Body Mind Coaching is we show you how to create what we call a container of support. Actually, this is going to feed into the next one, but there are ways to start doing the math differently where your income and your impact are not tied to your time and your doing, okay? And yes, we work specifically with massage therapists and holistic practitioners, and we show you how to do this, right? Which is kind of, we'll save this for another conversation, but we'll plant the seed. Your value of what you truly do lies beyond what you do in that hour, okay? So that's a whole other thing. We'll talk about that another day because I could talk for like an hour about that in itself. Okay, so number one is you're burnt out, right? You're maxed out, you're burnt out. When you're trading time for money, there will always be a cap in your business. Always. Not because money is limited. Money is money is a renewable resource, but time isn't. So if you're book solid, you're hitting the invisible ceiling because your time is maxed, okay? And so we want to start leveraging other things that you're doing, right, to get there. So the second sign for those of you who are listening and like, woman, I would love a book solid practice because I am on the roller coaster, okay? The up and down roller coaster. I've also been here myself. It's a fun one, and I'll tell you how this showed up for me. We have a client who, when she came into Body Mind, she was actually just starting in her career, and she saw the booked out practitioners, and she was like, she saw them complaining about how much they heard, about how exhausted they were, and she was like, I don't want that. She knew that very early on, and so she kind of fell into the second category. And this is one that I really want to be compassionate about because I understand if you're not book solid, you're on that roller coaster. But there's a funny thing that kind of happens underneath the roller coaster, right? Where you're book solid one week and then nothing the next. Here's what it looked like for me. I would book myself solid. I would hate everything I was doing, even though I loved my clients and I loved my work and I really, truly wanted to make a difference. And my body would scream at me and it would say, you need a break, right? So what I would do is, because I would book solid, I would look at my calendar a couple weeks down the road and I'd be like, I'm going to give myself some spaciousness. I'm going to take this week. I'm going to keep it really light. I'm going to block off a couple days so that I can rest. And what would happen when I hit that week? I'd freak the fuck out because I needed to pay my bills. I needed to make money, right? That feast or famine cycle, right? And for those of you who are still building a practice, right? I get, right? One, you're actually in a wonderful place because you have the opportunity to work smarter, not harder before you burn out, which is a blessing. But for those of you who ever notice that you're on the roller coaster, I think something that's happening there for a lot of practitioners is, and tell me how this lands, I think there's a little self-sabotage that goes on in this, and it's not your fault. Again, I think this is where the time for money, what we've been shown as successful, often gets in the way. Because the truth is, this is a physical profession. It requires your energy. To hold space for somebody requires your energy. And when we are taught that your value comes from your doing, and the doing literally rests on your shoulders, man, I remember those shifts after 8 clients a day. I literally wanted to rip my arms off, like literally wanted to just go and like put them on the wall and rest. Sometimes, like think of it this way. What happens, I think, in our industry is that we don't realize we equate making money with physical pain. So of course, right, that invisible ceiling shows up like a roller coaster of a schedule. Is this resonating at all? Let me know. Does this resonate with any of you? And this is where, one, we need to break time for money, but deeper than this, if we truly listen to our bodies, if we truly tuned in and asked what our bodies needed and ask what, like, how do you want to feel? How do you want to feel in your practice, right? How would it feel to have consistency in your income without you having to constantly hustle, right? What if there's a different way? So the burnout space, right? Typically, I think so much of that is time for money. So much of that is what we are shown as the model of success. But this one, the roller coaster, I think that's coming from a deeper place where we have unconsciously created this link that your value comes from your doing. And y'all, service industry people, this is a tough one, right? And this is where we need to start looking at what is the value, like what is the deeper value that you offer? Again, that program, the container of support that we teach in Body Mind Coaching, we show you how to leverage things that allow you to leverage the brilliance that you have to offer so that you can have a little bit more consistency, so you don't have to exhaust yourself. But underneath this is one of the big reasons when our clients come into Body Mind Coaching, we actually coach you because there's a set of unconscious rules that are driving your business. And until we shift those, you're gonna keep doing the same thing. And my son is awake. You might hear him in the other room. Okay, so first one, burnout. Second one, the roller coaster. Number 3 has nothing to do with you. Thank God, right? Number 3, the sign that you're hitting an invisible ceiling in your practice is your clients' outcomes, your clients' results. Are your clients not getting the results that you know are possible for them? Are your clients, are they spending 10, 20, freaking A, my clients would say 30 to 45 minutes after every session, right? Where I would give them tools and resources. We would have amazing conversations. I would share with them stretches and things that they could do. And then they would come back into their next appointment 2 weeks, 1 month. Sometimes the people who are like, fix me, and then they don't come back in for another 3 months. They come back in with the same freaking crap, okay? Even though I was giving them all the things that they needed to be successful. So are your clients not getting the results that you know is possible if they actually followed through on all the amazing things that you were telling them to do in the first place? Right? What's the number one piece of advice you tell your clients that if you knew they would do it, their life would change, right? But they don't. this is the thing we have to start thinking about, that invisible ceiling that you're feeling in trading your time for money, in physically exhausting yourself, actually creates a cap for what is possible with your clients. And I know that your clients love you. I know they feel amazing when they leave. But if they're stuck in those stress responses and they don't actually have the tools to listen to their body and make the transformation, they're going to come back in with the same freaking crap, right? This is one thing that I saw so early on in my practice. Oh, sorry. I'm also on Instagram and it's being a little weird. This is something that I saw with my clients. Again, I would tell them all these things. They said this was great. They would leave the appointment feeling full, but then they came back in. I literally would see the thing about our profession, right? We're trained to, trigger point and to stretch the knots. And then clients come in, like I saw this, and tell me if you saw this. My clients, I would start pressing on the knot in their shoulder, and they would tell me about all the responsibility that they were carrying in work. I would be, working on their feet or their ankles, and they would tell me, I would feel like they were digging their heels into something, like they were being a little stubborn about something. The muscles, your hamstrings, right? Those tend to be about trust, right? It's like doing a trust fall with the universe. And I would be working on that. And they would be telling me about all these changes and things that were happening. I literally saw this body-mind connection in action. Right? I saw this. And of course, right? Carly and I had a great conversation about this last week. I learned, and I went and I started learning and taking courses, and I was learning all this stuff, and I spent this time extra with them to tell them all the things that they could do. But here's what you have to understand. This is why it's an invisible ceiling. Your clients' results don't actually happen during the session where you tell them what to do. In fact, that can limit their results, right? Because when somebody is told what to do, it fills their brain. They're like, oh, I have the answers. But what actually causes what actually is the thing that's going to help them have change? Them doing the stretches between appointments, them actually waking up and taking the breath when they feel that stress, when they feel their shoulders going up to their ears. What's actually going to change their life is taking the breath in that moment, in that meeting, in that conversation, right? And so you have to understand, this is why we teach holistic practitioners how to incorporate coaching, right? Because the coaching, right, what's happening in their body, I think every practitioner we talk to, the number one thing you wish your clients knew was that their body was talking. And learning to listen to it is a skill. But just like you have to build muscle by going to the gym, it's a skill that people have to practice and build between appointments, right? And that invisible ceiling of time for money does not account for the between appointment time with your clients. Because here's why. Does anybody know why? Does anybody know why? Does anybody know the unspoken agreement of time for money? Anybody here know this? Right? Somebody pays you for a 60-minute massage. What is the unspoken agreement? Despite how it's all over your website, and despite the fact that you say it on your intake form and you verbally say it to them, what is the unspoken agreement of time for money from your client's perspective? Does anybody know? I'll tell you. I'm going to pay you. I'm going to sit here for 60 minutes and I'm going to pay you to fix my problem. Yes, exactly. They pay you, they're paying you to fix their problem, even though you tell them that all the time. So what happens is you're giving them this advice. They feel like you've solved the problem, but the thing they need to do actually happens outside of your session. So until you stop trading time for money, I fully believe the time for money, the problem that is making you feel burnt out, that is limiting your income, that is also limiting your impact and your clients' results. It is the time for money structure. That was the only option I was ever shown as a massage therapist, right? And so this is why I believe there's a better way. There's a different way. We have to start thinking about how we show up differently. We have to start thinking about how we operate. And right now, with life pretending to go back to normal, I really want us to question, is that the normal we want to go back to? Is that the normal you want to go back to? Is it? Do you want to just go back and pack your schedule? Like, yes, I know, post-COVID, yes, absolutely, it'll feel good for a couple weeks, right? Exactly. Thank you. Yes, Christopher, right? So here's my team and I were talking about this because I get so freaking fired up about this. And not to mention, I think what we saw in COVID was a world that is so disconnected to feeling their bodies, to being present with what's going on. Like, one of the things we talk about in Body Mind Coaching is that the biggest issue facing our culture today is the disease of disconnection. And it starts from within, right? And so we look at, stress is a language, pain is a language, your body is talking. And we know that there's a better way to practice. And one of my beliefs is that right now, it is us, the holistic healing community, that we're being called to step up, to show up, to think up, to be leaders, to support our clients in living, like literally living more aligned. Y'all, the reason they are ending up on your massage table in the first place is because they're disconnected. That stress and that pain and that exhaustion and that overwhelm is all stemming from this disconnection, right? That so many of us are feeling. And so when I think about the role that we get to play in this next era, right? This new era, we have to start questioning the time for money basis. Like that foundation, there's a different way. And this is something that we have been working with our clients for years. So obviously I'm fired up. And so here's what I want to do for y'all. So I'm hoping this is resonating. I see y'all in the comments, so thank you. I have a training that many of you have probably watched, and if it's been a while, I'm just going to invite you to watch it again because it's amazing. I will also warn you, I recorded this pre-COVID, so just know, like, I'm not being an ignorant asshole, like we didn't know global pandemic before this was recorded. However, what I share in that training, I share 5 shifts to increase your income, increase your impact, and I forget the title. I could probably go get it. It's called the 5 Shifts to Bring the Spark Back into Your Practice. Basically showing you different ways, like what you need to start thinking about to step into this next level of your practice, where you can start breaking the time for money trap, where you can start thinking about the value that you bring forth and see a different way to structure your services and structure your business that allows your clients to get better results. It's at thenewbodymind.com/training is where you can sign up. If you've already seen it and it's been a while, go watch it again. If you've never seen it, go watch it. It's amazing. And also, just so y'all know, there's nothing for sale on it. So, I always like to warn people because I know that there's so much out there. If you do feel called to learn more about how we support our clients, absolutely, we will chat with you, but there's no hurry, buy now, do the thing right now, immediately on the training either. So it's just, this is one of our favorite trainings that has been around now for a while. And as we think about stepping back into what like right now, we get to decide what normal is. And so when we start thinking about what that gets to look like, these shifts, I think, are so relevant. So thenewbodymind.com/training is where you can find that. I'll put it in the comments here to go watch that. Sign up, pick a time that works for you. And so again, those 3 things, if you're the 3 signs, obviously number 1 is burnout, right? Yes. And actually, I have my phone on my keyboard, so I can't type right now. But those signs, definitely burnout, right? Like that book solid, burnt out. Thank you. Yay. Person in the comments is amazing. Melissa Grossman, thank you for putting out there. Burnout is the first sign, right? And this is really coming from that ideal that you're supposed to have a book solid practice, right? Y'all, can I share a little secret? I work a lot less now than I ever did and make more money, okay? It's because I've truly learned how to work smarter, not harder, and break apart that time for money piece, okay? This is what we teach our clients, and also in that, the reach and the impact is so much bigger. And that's more of what I care about, is that we now are reaching people. We have coaches in Canada, US, UK, Australia, the Caribbean, which means we are also reaching so many people through the power of this work. Like, that's what lights me up. And if I had continued to play by the time for money paradigm, that would have been limited. Okay, so that burnout typically comes from this idea that a book solid practice is the goal. It's not, okay? There's a different way to work. The second sign is the roller coaster, right? The feast or famine, the up and down. And I really encourage you, I want you to give yourself a little grace on this one, because I think what is happening when we have that feast or famine cycle is more about, we've equated in our profession that your value comes from your doing. And when the doing literally requires your physical effort, you've actually equated making money to, in me, it was pain, right? Shoulder pain. So there's unconscious rules that get to be addressed, right? This is why, I mean, a big reason why we coach our clients is because when you start to see a different possibility for yourself, that's actually the shift that opens things up, right? And that, I forgot to mention it in the first one, the container of support, like supporting your clients in a different way really helps. Which brings me to the third one, is the third sign that you've hit that invisible ceiling is actually your clients and their limited results, right? You might love what you're doing. You might not feel any burnout and your schedule is perfect and amazing, but are your clients' results getting capped? Is there more available for them and the outcomes that you know are possible for them? And that means that's where coaching comes in. That's where structuring these program containers supports them. I know I'm like I get so excited about this. It's hard for me to talk about one damn thing. But anyway, okay. I hope this resonates. Go grab that training. And again, we'll show you just different possibilities that are out there, and just plant some seeds and more exciting stuff. If you're not already in our free Facebook community, the Body, Mind, Living community, we're actually going to change the name of that soon. But anyway, if you're not in our free Facebook community, this is a place where we want to start talking more about this. We want to start talking about what do we want our profession and our industry to look like? One of the goals that I have is I think a 6-figure income should be standard in our industry. And in order to do that, we need to start thinking about how we show up to our services. So we're just, this is the place where we get to play and have fun. I'm sorry I keep pointing at my screen. There's lots going on here, but thank you for joining me today. Like, share, invite a friend, all this stuff. And just remember, this is our opportunity to decide what normal is for our industry. And when we come in and do this together, I think that's where we can really create a beautiful impact. So grateful you're here. Thank you. Bye, everybody.